Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It's my first show back from a couple of day Christmas break, and I'm just really excited to get going here today talking about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. It's going to be a fun one. I hope everybody who celebrates Christmas had a great day on the 25th. But yeah, today on the 27th, we've got an awesome episode of AEW Dynamite to look forward to. And usually this is the part of the show where I'd ask my co-host Clark Taylor how he's doing today. But I've got another question for you today, Clark, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not the New Year's yet, is it? It is not 2024 yet.
No, it's still 23.
So, why on earth is tonight a New Year's bash on the 27th? I have no idea, Clark. Tell me.
Well, because you see, people sometimes have to do stuff like work on New Year's, or maybe they even don't work on New Year's. They have other plans. And so timing-wise, if the world's gonna end on Saturday, you might as well have your New Year's party on the 27th. I mean, that's just obvious, Ben.
Nicely done, Clark. Nicely
Think
done.
about it. If the world's ending on Saturday,
That's
you
true.
might as well get in your New Year's party early, because you're gonna have to stack up on cans, food supplies, water. You're gonna need like a generator, maybe weapons for zombies, stuff like that. Like, there's all kinds of shopping you got to do between now and the actual New Year. So you might as well get your party out of the way and then get ready for that world to end on Saturday. Also, by the way, I am just fired up to be here on a Wednesday. It's been way too long since we've gotten live wrestling. Like, I totally dig the WWE having the week off, generally speaking, outside of NXT for the major shows, the main roster shows. But NXT was fun last night. I'm ready for some Dynamite tonight for sure. And headed into World's End, there's so much that can happen. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, nice save there. Nice save there. I'm sure AEW's PR team need to get you on board to be able to do stuff like that. But I mean, again, New Year's Bash, I think doing that as the first show post pay-per-view, first show of 2024 would have made a lot more sense. But it's nitpicking. Today's going to be a really good show. I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on the show, Clark, and I'm excited to get into things, but I'm also excited to have the head of opinions joining us today, Mr. Anthony Ricciardi. Anthony, how are you, and how was your Christmas?
I'm doing all right. That really backfired on you, Ben. You really thought you had Clark there, and he won out, which is tremendous. This is the first live wrestling we're having this week, which is exciting, other than, us all watching on social media the streams from people's phones of CM Punk's return to in-ring competition last night on Madison Square Garden. But I'm looking forward to covering a preview for Dynamite, because I'm so used to covering post. So it should be fun.
No, of course, usually, you, Clark, and Shard, every Thursday, Throwback Thursday, where you guys cover Dynamite. Well, today we're previewing it as well. But you're right, it should certainly be a fun show. And yeah, Clark had an answer to that one for sure. But you mentioned CM Punk's back. CM Punk competed last night. MSG sold a lot of tickets for that show, the most they've had for a December 26th show at MSG in quite a few years now. I think since 2009, if I'm correct.
I think they said something. Is it the most non-televised? Wasn't it something like that? It was the biggest gate for a non-televised show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was something like, they haven't officially put the numbers out then yet, but it was the highest earning gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the most they've sold, because they've done, I believe, 18K for a live event there, but that was over a decade ago. I know that 2009 sticking out of my head, but somebody fact check me on that one. But somebody who's also joining us today is somebody who I'm just certain is not happy that CM Punk, was competing last night, and that is Soul. Soul, how are you? And how was your Christmas?
I was a lovely Christmas. Had a nice time, festive drinks all around, and a good old time. And now I get to talk about my favorite wrestling company, my favorite wrestling TV show, the one I will always stay up live to watch, that and Collision. So I'm very happy. Thoughts about the Punker? No comment. I ain't comment about that guy anymore. So let's move on with the best.
No comment. Fair enough. Move on, and let's be positive, and let's actually very much be positive today, because we have a couple of great guys in the comments. Firstly, numero one Superfly, and also Bobby Petito. Hello, guys. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. If you do, celebrate it. But yeah, let's jump right in, and let's jump right in to talk about a match which I'm very excited for. Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, a match I predicted as the final for the Blue League, and I'm thrilled it's happening. I said it last week. I'll say it again. The Blue League, I thought they nailed. I really did. From the start to the finish, they told stories with nearly every wrestler. You never really knew what was going to happen in most of the matches. And just overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. And tonight, it is finishing. Danielson, Eddie Kingston. I'm excited for this. We're going to get into the other semi-final match a bit later on, so we're not going to touch that yet. But this match itself, Kingston versus Danielson. Who will win it, Clark?
This is actually a hard one for me to predict, because my heart says Eddie Kingston. It makes sense. The story, he's kind of defending one of his titles, and he had hit like the peak of his career, and then now all of a sudden he's got to put it on the line in a tournament, and he's got to come back, fight from behind, the most Eddie Kingston thing of all time. Fits his character perfectly, but I mean, it's Bryan Danielson's last run, and this guy is certifiable legend, arguably the best of his generation, and honest to goodness, still at the top of his game. The most impressive thing about Danielson to me is we talk about a lot of these guys that have either come back or are legends at the tail end of their career, and we appreciate how much they're still there, but they've taken a step backwards as far as their in-ring ability. It's still great because of the veteran knowledge and all of that, but athletically they've taken a step back. Maybe they're less innovative. They kind of just play the hits. It's a little bit like a Billy Joel concert. They just play the hits and then they get out of there. Bryan Danielson continues to innovate, and every match is unique. His move set is endless. I don't know if there's a video game you could put his entire move set into, because he's right. We used to call Dean Malenko the man of 1,000 holes. Bryan Danielson's the man of 1,000,000 moves. He can do any spot in any place different ways, and it blows me away that to this day he's as good as he is. At the end of the day, though, to quote Kobe, there's no what are we doing here on this one. I do think Eddie Kingston, few Hurricanes, gets the win, and then I'm hoping for a nice big handshake in the center of the ring and an endorsement from Bryan Danielson as far as Eddie going on to the finals at the end of the match. I think that'd be a nice moment for Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, no, that would certainly be to earn the respect of Bryan Danielson. However, unfortunately, I just don't think the Blackpool Combat Club like him very much. I think no matter what he does, he's never going to get that respect off them. But I do hope you're right. Also, you're bang on.
Can I quickly give my reasoning, though,
yes,
because of the same thing? So we saw the Cesaro and Cesaro. Jeez Louise, that was bad. Claudio Castagnoli match with Bryan Danielson, right? Ending in a draw. And that is an all-time ROH, goes way back, right? If Bryan Danielson endorses Eddie for the very reason that you said, I don't think the Blackpool Combat Club likes him. There's a crack in the Blackpool Combat Club in the sense of it can set up for a Cesaro Danielson match that I think would be off the charts after we saw a draw, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be in the near future, whether it be main eventing a Dynamite, whether it be a stipulation match or something unique like that, to kind of throw back to the ROH days, I would not mind Claudio. I said Cesaro multiple times, I know, but Claudio and Danielson having a rivalry coming out of this. That would make a lot of sense to me, actually.
No, I do agree with you there. That could certainly be interesting. And I also like what you said about the video games, because when I play as Bryan Danielson or any of these technical wrestlers in a WWE or AEW, whatever video game, right? You can't recreate their style.
Yeah.
I mean, the best chance you have is going on to UFC on there and grappling. I mean, that's the most accurate thing you can do because these wrestling games, they just can't emulate it because it's so different to, a lot of other people there, and it's so technical. There's so many different holds and, reversals, and it's just very, very entertaining. But what about you, Anthony? What are your thoughts heading into this one? Who do you think will win this match tonight, Kingston or Bryan Danielson?
This is a really fun one to me because I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I think both of them are definitely deserving to get to the finals, to battle for the Triple Crown. Realistically, for me, I don't think either one's going to win it or should win it when everything's said and done. I'll get to that when we get to the final one. But realistically, to me, I could see Danielson picking up the win because I think Danielson getting beat by the person who I think is going to win the other match, I think would mean more to that person because Danielson is such a I guess I could say legend. I guess we could say that he's the first Ballot Hall of Famer when everything's said and done. Multiple time world champion. I think it means more. And I think that also sets up with if Kingston is mad about losing, which he should be, they could either continue the Danielson feud or he could go up to the person who won and went, "You didn't beat me. The two of those titles are mine. You didn't beat me. You beat somebody else that got lucky. You didn't beat me." So I think you can kind of do that with it. And I think they kind of want to keep Danielson as strong as possible with his match with Okada coming up at Wrestle Kingdom. Not a disrespect to Kingston, but realistically, Danielson's the bigger name here. So I think that's probably where it's going to go. I would pick Danielson, but I wouldn't be upset if Kingston won.
Yeah, it is one of those where, no matter which guy wins, I mean, both guys are just very well liked among wrestling fans. They really, really are. And we got a couple of comments here. We got Dreamer4136 on Instagram saying Bryan is the GOAT, while over on YouTube, Chris Leclerc believes Eddie Kingston will win. Meanwhile, Numero 1 Superfly has Daniel Bryan, and Bobby Petito has Bryan Danielson as well. This is dividing opinion. It very, very much is. But Soul, what's your opinion on this one? Kingston, Danielson, who is moving forward?
They're both very, very good. And honestly, either one of these, I would be personally happy with winning. But I want to put this to the guys here. Imagine this. Wrestle Kingdom. Okada comes out, does entrance and everything. Bryan, final countdown, 3 belts entrance. I'm just saying, if I was PK and I can't want that kind of exposure, I mean, like Hearts Kingston, but business talks. I mean, 3 belts, Bryan at Wrestle Kingdom, can't beat that image.
Final year as well. Final year full time for Danielson to get those 3 belts. You're right. Would be an absolutely incredible image going into that match at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom event on January 4th. I mean, that would be absolutely sick. It truly, truly would be. I'm going to be honest here. I disagree. I think Eddie Kingston's going to win. I think they've done this entire redemption thing with him. And I think he is going to, go all the way to the final where he'll face somebody who I'll talk about a bit later on. But I mean, Soul, overall, are you happy that this is the semi-final for the tournament?
I absolutely have no problem with this in my mind. I've loved the whole Continental Classic in itself. I think it's been one of the greatest additions to AEW this year in itself. Don't know what the belt looks like, obviously. I hope it looks lovely. Most AEW belts do. But I wonder, with this whole tournament as well, that I feel like everyone, minus one person, came out of it very well. Even Daniel Garcia with that surprise win against Brody King. Andrade looked good. Mark Briscoe getting the final win as well. Love that. Moxley's done well. Swerve's done well. Jay's done well. Honestly, everyone's done well. Maybe the only one you can't say who's done well is Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
I feel like that can maybe roped in for a story for the next C2.
Or even for the next few months. I feel like, they could.
Funny, though.
They could do something.
His scores weren't great, but Jay wrestled really great matches. Lethal's
score
matches
was
were
0.
exciting. His score was 0. Like, of course, it's terrible. Like, he finished last.
He did have the
But his
worst
matches
match of
were
the tournament
exciting.
as well.
He
That
did have the
4-minute
single
one.
worst, but the other ones were solid.
They were.
To his
They were.
credit,
He's a
like,
good
they were
wrestler.
good matches.
No, 100% Clark. I do agree with you. He's a good wrestler. He's a good talent. We've seen it. We saw it in Ring of Honor for, years. And I mean, listen, let's hope. And if they do it right, then I think it will be. But let's make it a storyline now. Let's say that maybe Jay Lethal thinks he's better. He needs to move out of Jeff Jarrett's faction, whatever. Maybe we do something with them. I mean, I'm not overly keen on that, but at least it's a story, and at least maybe then we could get the Jay Lethal of old, and I'd be down with that. And you know me, I say story is king. Who am I to complain?
So if they play Final Countdown at Wrestle Kingdom, do they split the bill for the song? Who pays for it?
That's a good point. President
middle.
Tanahashi.
The question is, who tips?
It's not my culture.
But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk. Well, let's move on to talk about. Clark, we always talk about it every week, don't we? Every Wednesday we talk about it. Every Sunday we talk about it.
You do, and you're gonna hate my suggestion for tonight, but either way.
Oh, do I even want to hear this? Okay. Well, AEW Women's Division time. I say it every week. I say it again. I always have to start with this disclaimer because people take sometimes what I say out of context. But I think the AEW Women's Division is absolutely fantastic. I think the wrestlers in it have so much potential. I really, really do. But I mean, here's the thing about it, right? Tonight, Chris Statlander, Sky Blue. It was announced half an hour ago. 30 minutes ago, they announced this match, right? And they've actually told a story. They have told a story here. They've been telling it for months and months and months, and it should all be leading up to a big, big match. But nope, they've just done it to a match on Dynamite where they've announced it, a couple of hours before the show starts. That's my issue with it. At least there's a story here tonight, and I'm happy about that, but it deserves more. And just being announced, just before the show. This is an actual storyline they've been telling. So, hey, hopefully this is going to lead to a bigger match between them at a later date. Maybe at the pay-per-view. But come on, let's announce it ahead of time. Let's make it feel a bit more important. Because, yeah, they've actually told a story here. And again,
you're going to hate my suggestion. I have a bad feeling. Either that or you're going to love it. It's 50-50.
Go for it. I'm not complaining about this anymore.
Normally we talk about it and we start saying that there needs to be more time in the women's division. And I agree. And to your point, there was a story told for this match. And it should be in a bigger spot. I think there's an advantage, unlike the one that I'm going to compare it to in the past in AEW, that I think is the route that they should go. This match was a main event match and it didn't last very long. And I don't think this one should either. The way that Brody Lee smashed Cody in an unexpected way on an unexpected Dynamite for the TNT title to establish himself as a force, I think Sky Blue should do to Statlander tonight. I think hit her with something violent out of the gates, make an absolute statement, decimate her inside of 5 minutes. Maybe take your time with it between moves, but just an absolute mauling to A, fire up Statlander, and B, set up the rematch similar to the way that Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes were able to set up that rematch before. But I think this one has that all over it. We've complained about how great the turn has been for Sky Blue, but then it doesn't feel like we've actually taken her to the next step. We've complained about a lot of that. Tonight, if she beats the ever-loving you-know-what out of Chris Statlander, that's a statement. And I hate to call for a squash match, but if anything ever fit, and it would be interesting too, given the size difference, to beat someone like Chris Statlander, the size of Chris Statlander that badly, I think helps with her character in relation to Julia Hart's character with kind of the more mythical type. You know what I mean? The dark stuff. If she's able to accomplish something like that, I think that's the move. That's what I would go with if I had the pencil here. And I think Sky Blue goes over dominantly tonight to set up the rematch where Statlander's fighting from underneath.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Stuart Clark. I actually don't hate that as much as I think you thought I would.
Hey, that makes me
I
happy.
don't.
Good.
I mean, here's the issue I would have with it, right? If they did the 3 minute squash, whatever, well, not squash, but
I,
3
I'm
minute
thinking
quick
a
match
little
or a
longer than
big
that,
thing.
5 to 6 minutes, but like
Okay,
it's
okay,
dominant.
cool, right.
It's more than
But
it's more
if
one
they
sided
did
than
that,
anything.
if they did that, right, I'd have no issue with that. What I would have an issue with if that was the only 5 to 6 minutes of women's wrestling on the show.
Right.
That's would be my issue.
I agree.
From an actual storyline perspective, I'd have no issue with that,
Mm-hmm.
especially if Sky Blue cheats to win with something really unique. I don't want to see missed. I do not want to see missed, okay?
Yeah.
I see it just too many times in this women's division. I want Sky Blue to win using, some weird way, maybe involving Julia Hart, but almost certainly involving Julia Hart in some capacity.
You know what I've
Something
wondered
unique.
Always
gonna do
do,
that.
because we've talked about the mist a lot, and a lot of people are doing it to, honor Great Muta. But I was actually thinking it would be kind of cool if they did it for Sky Blue. This is so creative and out of left field, but just like as a brainstorming thing. Remember when Mr. Fuji used to do like the salt or the powder in the eyes? If she had like, but it was dyed black similarly and threw it like that, as opposed. So Julia Hart does the mist, Sky Blue does the cloud of dust or whatever you want to call it. And I wouldn't mind that as a gimmick thing to add, just because I love the callbacks to, stuff in the past like that. I loved as little time as it lasts. I dug when they were loading Sean Spears' glove. I thought it was fun. Like, you know what I mean? I like the Dynamite Diamond Ring. I like the little things like that to cheat to win, to be more heelish. And I don't know, just the image of, you're honoring similar legend of Japanese wrestling, and also it could fit the dark character. All you have to do is dye whatever you're using for the actual powder itself, maybe blue, maybe it's blue.
I'm just kind of sick of literally this entire women's division just does, and same in WWE a bit too.
Yeah,
because they've done it with a lot of, of course, Oscar in recent years and stuff. Even though, I mean, that's only one wrestler, so it's nowhere near the same level. But in this
Nakamura's
AEW
using it
division,
too on the men's side, though.
They have. It's true. It's
Yeah.
overused now. It's overused.
Well, Muto just did
really
retire this year, so it's understandable. I agree with you that it's overused, but I will give the slide. If it continues to be overused, like let's call it the next 5 years, then I'd be more inclined to complain. But the same year, right?
It
we
feels
saw
like I haven't watched one wrestling show this year which doesn't feature mist.
There's been a lot. Well, I mean, hey, you know who started it is Austin Theory with the baby oil. He started it.
What?
When he shot the baby oil in Bobby Lashley's eyes. He started the whole.
I mean, I actually prefer that to the amount of mist we're using.
Geez,
I love,
man.
by the way, I love mist being used. I just think we're using it too much, right?
I hear you.
So if tonight Sky Blue used baby oil instead of mist, I actually would prefer it. But in all seriousness, and I even hate the lights going out thing for during matches, but I'd actually do that tonight over using mist. Have them having a match, the lights go out quickly.
I'm just glad you don't hate my pick.
Behind Statlander, Julia, not Julia Hart, Sky Blue gets the roll up, something like that. Win a shocker. They're like, well, what happened? Did the House of Black invade the production truck? Oh, wait, yes, they did. The production people are all on the floor. They're all going to leave too, just like the other 4 executives who've left this week. And then you just see Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews in the production truck, and they're producing the show now, and there's no more LED boards, just start crowds.
Hear me out. What if one of them throws the other one at the outside? Then they do a spot into the barricade, and then they go to commercial. Will you be excited about that?
No. No, please. Please, Clark. No. No. We're not even doing this anyway. We're not going back to Raw 2019 or whatever it was. I don't even think it was that long ago. But anyway. Oh, let's move on. I mean, Chris agrees with me. Julia Hart will get involved.
Yeah. It would make sense.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going with it. But anyway, Anthony, let's now move on. Let's move on and let's talk about MJF. Let's talk about the devil, because of course you published an article on WrestlingRepublic.com a few weeks back now, where you talked about your theory, a possibility that Tony Khan is the devil himself. A take which I'm sure somebody named Phil Brooks would agree with. I'm only joking. But in all seriousness, that would seriously be, a very interesting twist to the story. A lot of people wouldn't like it. I personally would. I think it has a lot of potential. But tonight, Samoa Joe and MJF are defending their ROH Tag Team Championships against two of the Devil's, masked partners, I guess if you want to call it that. I mean, they did this exact same match 2 weeks ago, and it never happened. But today, will it happen? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is Groundhog Day all over again. They've done this. They teased it once, didn't do it. Then it's this big production last week of going, we want the ROH tag titles. No one cares about those titles. There's not too many people that are lined up begging for these titles. That's the one you want, not his world title, the tag titles of the promotion that is the stepchild that's neglected of Tony Khan. Really? That's the ones you want? I don't know what this is going to be. I feel that depending upon who the mask guys are, we're going to probably have a good idea exactly who they are if they don't unmask based on their style. Unless they really change up whatever they normally wrestle. I don't know what they're doing with these tag titles. I really don't. I don't think they know what they're doing with the whole ROH company. So does it matter if they lose them? Probably not. But I think Joe and MJF retaining would probably be the smarter move going in the World's End. But I don't know. I mean, we've seen that before. We've seen reluctant tag champs battle for the title. I mean, Austin was tagging with The Undertaker at one time. Cena and Shawn Michaels. They've done that stuff before. So it's been done. I don't know what this is going to entail. I feel like this whole Devil storyline's kind of lost a lot of its momentum because, I think people were holding out hope. Clark, you were the originator of it, thinking that CM Punk was the Devil, which obviously that didn't happen.
It still is.
Okay, yeah. He's collecting a paycheck from both.
I actually think it's Nick Jackson now.
Oh, no. Nick Jackson. Okay.
Not Matt.
Not Matt, no.
No, he's going to be the angel. They're going to do a whole on-the-shoulder gimmick.
No, Jesus.
With Kenny when he comes back.
Man, this show's going off the rails. But I don't know what they're going to do with this. And it's kind of one of those matches that you're just like, it'll be what it'll be. It's not, I don't feel strongly one way or another on this one, to be honest.
I am gonna have to agree with you. We got a couple of comments here. We got Drizzy saying injuries, stalled the storyline a lot. Yeah, it's undoubtedly true. The injury to Adam Cole very much, has. I mean, it has hurt the storyline for sure, especially the MJF.
Mind, actually, guys, I think it's Regal.
Yes,
but
the one last thing with that, in the piece, I said that Tony Khan should be the overall mastermind. Like Vince was the higher power with the ministry, but the main one that screws MJF over should be Adam Cole. I get it. They're holding with the injury, but one question, if no one's supposed to know who the Devil is, why is AEW selling hoodies with the Devil merchandise? Who's getting the royalties? Gotta ask. Why selling these now?
Freaking follow the money, man. Yeah, we should check that out. Someone look into that.
Yes.
I mean, you can say that MJF holds the copyright trademark and ask maybe he's getting the royalties.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Maybe MJF's this is a big scam by MJF and he's doing it. I've got a theory for you, Clark. I've got a theory I think you'll love. What if it's Vince McMahon? What if Vince McMahon is the
Shane
devil
O'Mac.
and he's doing that? Shane O'Mac too. He's got them all together. And Shane and Stephanie are going to become tag team champions tonight. But Drizzy, shout out Drizzy.
Have we considered they signed the real devil?
Anthony is very
what if they just signed the actual devil? He's never
going to
I
gosh.
believe he signs people to contracts. I don't believe he signs them himself.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works.
WCW 2000 showing.
It's got to be Vince Russo.
Oh, it's Hogan. I should have known.
Oh, this show has gone off the rails, but who would want it to be any
It's
other
Billy
way?
Corgan.
Oh, come on.
It's
But
Billy
tonight, right, there might not be 2 women's matches, even though there should be, whatever. At least there's another women, a female competitor getting TV time because Mariah May is having an interview with Renee Paquette. And for me, I'm interested in this because Mariah May, I've spoken to her throughout the years. She used to be, a big part of the Instagram wrestling community, and now she's actually in the wrestling industry as a performer, and I'm very interested to see, where this goes for her. But tonight, she's got an interview with Renee Paquette. But Soul, how would you book Mariah May's, I guess, debut from this interview to, really make her feel important?
So I'm gonna be honest, I pretty much know nothing about Mariah May. I've never seen her wrestle, but from what I've seen with her in her short time of AEW, impressed. Think she's interesting. Could be a great in-ring competitor when I see her in the ring. But I feel like if what she's talking about, trying to impress Storm, I feel like she's got to go for a top dog kind of talent, right? So I feel like for Mariah May, in my mind, there's 3 individuals that she should go for her debut match to show that presence of like, I'm here. This is my statement, and everyone else is on my watch, right? Gonna go for either Thunder Rosa, with former women's champion, just came back. Be great to see Thunder back in the ring, especially on a pay-per-view. Get that. I do feel like Mariah May's debut match should be on World's End. It just makes sense, right? Do that. Shida, or someone who I really want to see back in the ring, and she's cleared now, Serena Deeb. Those are the 3 I would like to see Mariah May have her first match against. And I think it would work well. Even if she does somehow lose, I feel like she would try and play it off as a fluke, and probably Tony wouldn't even care. She's like, "Oh yes, I saw your match. You were splendid, darling, splendid." And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go again." And she keeps going on and going on. And heck, even have Mariah May and Toni Storm be a duo and have her win the TBS title maybe in the future, and then we can have an implosion sort of thing between the two, and maybe a title versus title down the line. Even at All In, because Mariah May is from the UK.
She absolutely is. I'd very much like to see that. So you might not have seen her. I watched a bit of her. I watched a bit of her firstly on the UK Indies, and I thought she had a lot of potential then. But then she went to Japan, and that's really when she went from, a good rookie to somebody who I was like, okay, she could be a top talent in this industry. And I still think that she has the luck and she has the talent. And she just feels like a star and is also good on the mic. She has everything you need. So I hope, they play off this story very well. I hope she doesn't just become, somebody in the background for Toni Storm long term. I hope this is just, storyline to get her to that point, to bring her to that main event level. Because I think it could work very, very well long term. And I think this is going to be one where we're just going to have to, sit down and wait. Long term storytelling. But now let's move on and let's talk about the other match, the other Continental Classic semi-final that's happening tonight. But this is not a one-on-one bout. No, it is not. It is a triple threat where only one man can win and go on to face the winner of the match we talked about earlier tonight. I said earlier, and I'll say it again now, I think Eddie Kingston's winning that first match. I really, really do. But I do not think it's going to be Swerve who he will be facing. Because even though I think Swerve should be the one to win this tournament, I don't believe they're going to do that. And I believe that is why they're setting up this Keith Lee feud for Swerve. And I think that match could even happen at World's End itself. So unfortunately, I don't see Swerve going forward to that final this Saturday night when the world will end according to All Elite Wrestling, and 2024 will never happen. So the bidding war of 2024 for MJF will never happen either. Checkmate, Tony Khan, MJF, you've been beaten. But honestly, this match that I'm really, really excited for. But if it's not going to be Swerve, then who will it be? Will it be Moxley or will it be Jay White? I think it's going to be John Moxley. I think we're getting Moxley versus Kingston once again in the final. And I think Kingston will be going over there. Spoilers. But what about you, Soul? I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this one? And who do you think is walking out of the triple threat as, heading into the final at World's End?
I feel like I can see 3 paths for each competitor in this match. I feel like for Swerve, we're going to see him and Keith. I think either Keith will cost it for him or get distracted, and Swerve is then going to lose, and then Swerve versus Keith Lee, even at World's End, or something else down the line in a no DQ match, and finally settle this whole rivalry and put it to rest. For Jay White, I think he is also going to lose, and I think for Jay White's progression in AEW is going to be him and the Guns, because Juice is out of an injury, against the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass for the trios titles. Ooh. In, I think, as well, if you're going to have one retirement match at Revolution, maybe have 2 and have Billy Gunn's last match be there as well. Ooh. With the trios titles. You know, his sons get to take the titles, become champion, both get to retire their father. That's a story there in itself. And I feel like it would be a very amazing match, because I feel like with the Acclaimed, when Billy Gunn goes, they'll be fully integrated and be integral to the tag division, which I feel like they need to be. Don't get me wrong, I love them as a trios with Billy Gunn, but that tag division needs a bit of a boost right now, I feel. So obviously, yeah, that means John Moxley, I feel like, will win it. We'll get a run back to Full Gear 2020, the old I Quit match with Moxley and Kingston for the championship. Rematch here, and Kingston will win and become a Triple Crown champion within AEW.
Oh, I would not mind that. I would not mind that one bit. Also, very interesting shout there about Bullet Club Gold against the Guns. I do like that. I'd kind of prefer Billy Gunn to have a retirement match a separate time, because I don't want it to be overshadowed by somebody else, or then him overshadowed. But he's not going to overshadow Sting. But you know what I mean. I think it'd be completely overshadowed. I'd do it at a separate event, but in terms of the story, I really like that idea, Soul. I really, really do. But Anthony, what about you? What do you think they're going to be doing heading into World's End? Who will go forward? Will it be Moxley? Will it be White? Or will it be Swerve Strickland?
I feel like I've said this 1,000,000 times at this point on this show. Swerve. Swerve to me should be the one to ultimately win this whole thing. This tournament will have paid off if you've made somebody. Swerve had that incredible match with Hangman that elevated him. Give him the 3 belts. Let him run with it. The Keith Lee thing, I think, is a joke. Like, this is a storyline that was dropped 4 months. No one paid attention to it, and all of a sudden now Keith wants his match. Like, it feels like a lot of ways this was a match that was booked and the slip of paper fell behind a couch. And Tony Khan just found out, I forgot about this. I should probably do something with this. Like, that's what it feels like with this thing. So, like I said, I think Swerve should go over. I want to see Swerve win it. Have Swerve defend the triple thing too with Keith Lee if you absolutely want to go that route. But at this point, they've ignored the feud, so now all of a sudden we're supposed to care again. I have a problem with that. Dropping a feud and then bringing it back of going, now I'm mad. You've been there. You weren't out with an injury. You've been there. Now you're upset. I don't get the logic in that.
No, I mean, honestly, Anthony, I do agree. I agree with your frustrations a lot there. I mean, they did just abandon it. We all complained about it at the time, and now they randomly brought it back at the exact moment they shouldn't have brought it back. And why shouldn't they have brought it back in this exact moment? Because, like you said, now is Swerve's time. This should be when he wins that Triple Crown Championship. The crowds, the people want him to be that main event guy. You could then run back him versus Hangman, and I would personally love to see that.
The part that makes no sense is he's looking for revenge. So story-wise, he should get that revenge. But it conflicts because you're building Swerve. So you're really going to have Swerve lose to Keith after you put him over so emphatically with Hangman? No, you're not going to do that. So Keith never gets his revenge. And why are you doing this now at this point? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, in the words of Clark Taylor, what are we doing here? But Clark, you can answer this yourself. What are we doing here tonight on Dynamite? Moxley, White, Swerve. Who is going to go forward into that final?
I can't lie to you guys. I feel like I'm going to actually disappoint a lot of people here. I'm going to frustrate a lot of people, but please hear me out on this. because I have overthought this match since I was the one that was like, they got to go triple threat. It makes perfect sense when we were doing the math, which I totally was on board, even though you told me my math was wrong when it was right, Ben. When it was right.
Not bad.
My math was right. And I knew it. I wanted this match. Now that we're here, I have absolutely racked my brain thinking about who's going to win. It's been difficult. I've switched my pick 5 times. What I've landed on is Swerve Strickland will be the highlight reel of this match. He will be the absolute star of the match. And in numerous spots, nearly win it. Jay White similarly will have a few moments, but not quite as many. There will be an interference, people asked to leave ringside, and some sort of distraction because of the rules in the tournament. I also believe triple threat matches are no disqualification. I don't know if they are or aren't in AEW, so there could be use of weapons in front of the referee or behind the referee's back. I think that there will be weapons involved in this match. I also think there will be interference, but because of the rules of the tournament, the referee will be distracted and certain interference will land and others will not. I think this will actually lead us to Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in the finals, where Eddie Kingston goes over, wins the 3 belts, has the biggest moment of his career against his best friend. It causes the cracks in the Blackpool Combat Club. It links into the Claudio and Danielson rivalry that I talked about. It's time to split up the the Blackpool Combat Club anyway. The Combat Cool Boys Combat Club, whatever they want to call it these days. It's time to split it up. Moxley and Claudio and Danielson, all 3 are great standing on their own. They need to be standing on their own. There's no sort of faction warfare that makes any sense opposite the Blackpool Combat Club at this point. Now they're just wearing matching sweatsuits, and I'm good on that, right? We don't need that anymore out of 3 talents that are that great. And even Wheeler Yuta's solid as well, but still he can stand on his own 2 feet. And
yeah,
so we go that direction where this leads Swerve. I do agree that Keith Lee, it took a while. That's where Swerve goes over. And this is also a test on a potential Swerve babyface turn, pending where you go with the world title picture. This is the low point before the springboard, the calm before the storm. As Swerve, they make the decision whether Swerve goes after the world title as a heel or a babyface, because the way the crowd's dancing with Nana and cheering for Swerve's quality heel work, it might be time to flip and let the crowd go crazy and dance with Prince Nana, and let the crowd get behind Swerve Strickland for his world title run. And pending how we go with the Devil storyline and what happens with MJF, we might just need a babyface challenger and not a heel. And I think Swerve's put in such great work the last few months. I'd rather save him for the world title picture than have him win these 3 belts as a consolation prize. Not that they're a consolation prize. In my eyes, though, if you put the 3 belts on Swerve by comparison to if you put them on Eddie Kingston, it means less. And for some reason, I can't exactly put my finger on why that is, but for some reason, it feels more meaningful to Eddie Kingston than it does to Swerve. Swerve's proven his worth in this tournament against all of the big dogs. And if he gets ever so close and gets, messed around and doesn't win, I think as a springboard, as a launching pad on the way continually up to that world title picture, because we were talking about the TNT title months ago with Swerve Strickland, and I thought he was too big for that too, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, whether it's as a heel or a babyface, I also think this is a test run, because if Swerve gets cheered over Moxley, who's the only probably true babyface in this match, well,
even he's a tweener.
And even he's a tweener. That'll be fascinating. That'd be fascinating. And it might be just the little start of the babyface Swerve run where, because tell me how many Prince Nana shirts.
The entire arena will be, going along with Prince Nana tonight. That is for sure. Clark, we've agreed on a couple of things here today, because again, that pretty much bang on what I said about it. I'm still not entirely sure who will win, if it will be Kingston or Moxley. I'm kind of stuck between the 2. But I think it should be Kingston. But yeah, I do agree. I think that'll be the final, and I'm very excited for it. I'm excited for Dynamite tonight. You know, like you said, we're going back and forth, back and forth. We've all predicted different things, and that's what makes it exciting. So I'm hyped. It's not a New Year's bash, it's an end of year's bash. But hey, we'll call it New Year's bash just to make them happy, eh? But thank you guys so much for watching the show. If you're on Spotify, please leave us a cheeky 5 stars. If you're on Instagram, please give us a follow if you're not already. On YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. And smash that notification bell. And of course, if you're on any other platform, whatever platform it may be, please do whatever you can to support us there. We really appreciate it. We're here every day. We're back tomorrow, slightly later start time for Throwback Thursday, 11 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. Pacific time for you guys over in the Pacific side of America, I guess. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Soul, and thank you to Anthony for joining me here today. We hope you guys having a great Christmas, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.